off limits. We want to answer your questions about business, life, and everything in between. If you have a question for myself and Liz, all you need to do is send us an email to ask@beckandliz.com. That's ask@beckandliz.com. So, Elizabeth, our question today actually stems from our conversation with Amy Reed of Woofie's, and how she and her business partner and co-founder have created this incredibly collaborative team. So Leslie Barron and Amy Reed have just done a beautiful job putting together this team. And I guess my question is, how the heck do you do that? How do you find them?
Yeah. How do you find them? How do you cultivate them? How do you make it work? I think that's such a great question. I think if we all knew the answers, we would not be in some of the situations we have been in our lives. Because we've all been in situations that were not ideal in a work life. But I think what they do is the way that they communicate within their team. They, one person may interview someone coming in, and then they meet with the whole team, and then everybody kind of gets to know and puts input. And I think when you have that dynamic, you can sort of see how someone relates to a bunch of different people, instead of just one. Like, I might get along with somebody just fine, but they might drive you insane, so having that group interview, I think, might help them. And I think some of it's probably dumb luck. To a degree.
Well, and Amy actually said that in some ways it was luck, but the common denominator that came up was the shared values. And as you know, with the Zoracle tool, that's one of the primary ways for franchisee selection. And Amy was talking about, it was the way she and Leslie also selected partners, franchisees, team members, groomers, pet walkers, all of those things. Do they share our values? And so they're very clear on what their values are. And then, they interview in such a way to make sure that their future employee or partner is one that shares those values. So I think that's a good start down a right track.
I think so too. And I think when you're that crystal clear on what your culture and your core values are, and you can articulate those to somebody else, you may have people weeding themselves out and saying, yeah, that's not how I work. That's not how I communicate effectively. That's not how I function, whatever. And hopefully would have the good sense to know this isn't going to be a good fit for you. So I think it goes on both sides. But I think if you do not have it very clear in your own mind, and then in the way that you express what those values are, what that culture is, and what you're looking for, you're going to leave a lot up to chance.
Indeed. The other thing that Leslie and Amy had was, they described it as transparency, right? So this authenticity, this genuineness, this transparency with one another. So it appears that there's such trust and transparency with one another that if Leslie said to Amy, or Amy said to Leslie, or they said to one of the team members, this doesn't work for me, I don't have a really good feeling about that, or here's what I noticed, there's this incredible trust and honesty amongst them that they're heard. It's not like, oh, that's going to make her upset, or that's going to, not be accepted. It's like, okay, we're in this together, we're partners, and if we're not on the same page about this person or this potential future business partner or team member, and we're not all on the same page, and it's not the right person for us.
And that actually goes back to the whole conversation we had in the Women in the Know segment about ownership, and how you can trust somebody when they have ownership, because they want good for everyone. So I think that maybe plays an even bigger part than we realize now that we're talking about the culture. And how you build that. I think it's all intertwined.
Agreed. It's true. And we could hypothesize till the cows come home about how this is created. And obviously, I think we got some pieces of the puzzle and what we've talked about, and what Michelle talked about, and Amy talked about, and others have talked about. Renee Israel was a good example of that when she talked about the culture they have. So, but I'm curious if others have some idea of how you build that team. How do you select the right team? How do you create that cohesiveness, that collaboration, that creativity, that accountability? How do you do that day in,
Mm-hmm.
day out? In Amy's case, 16 years, and she still has nothing but adoration for her business partner who was once a neighbor. How do you do that over the long haul to have 2 people, 3 people, 5 people, 8 people all going the same direction? It's a
Mm-hmm.
pretty incredible thing. So I would love to hear from others what their opinions are about how you create that kind of environment.
Agreed. So leave your comments. Leave your comments below and we will respond. We're collecting data, so who knows where it may end up.
Exactly. Yeah, we're here to help all of us learn and to grow and to have conversations that maybe we wouldn't have uh, other places, right? So for today, I want to thank everyone for joining us. Where passion and purpose collide, profits are made, and relationships are forged. This is Beck and Liz signing off and wishing you another purpose-filled and profitable week.